Hey, how's it going everybody? I'm Shadow Stitch and I like solo running Pokemon Black and White. So last week we wrapped up Spooky Month on Halloween by running Chandelure. This is my favorite Unova Pokemon, my second favorite Pokemon of all time, and I had just so much fun with this one. As we bring in the tier list, we do see it just barely squeaked into the C tier, but I really enjoyed it, and if you've watched that video, I hope you did too. So definitely go check that one out if you haven't already, as well as all the other Pokemon on the tier list. They have videos on the channel, so go check out that playlist, link down below at the end of the video and on that little iCard thing that popped up. I do have a whole bunch of re-ranks still up to do. I just redid Crustle, Conkeldurr, and both of the Braviaries, so they each have new results and are represented on this tier list now, so that's fantastic. But you have to make sure that you stick around because we are out of Spooky Month, so that means I get to just pick random stuff that I think is going to be interesting, and I got a good one for us today as we're going to be playing with Mienshao. So on the surface, Mienshao doesn't really look like much. Whenever you think of like a strong fighting type, you think of like, you know, the Conkeldurrs and the Machamps, you know, these big bulky humanoid dudes. But Mienshao is very like simple, very thin and flowy and stuff. And I just really like that design. Kind of juxtapositions the fighting type very well, in my opinion, and I just really like it. So before we get into like competitive Mienshao though, like I do have to mention Mienfoo, its pre-evolution, is one of the best Little Cup Pokemon of all time. Like, this thing is legitimately incredible in even lower tiers, but especially the Little Cup format, which is, you know, the format that they play at level 5 with only like first stage Pokemon. And that is really good for us because we are going to be stuck with that for quite a while. So very nice to hear that it's got a great pedigree. As for Mienshao, it's actually pretty decent in like some VGC formats. It gets things like Fake Out, Wide Guard. It does a ton of damage with like close combat or even like high jump kick and stuff. In later generations, it got a buff to Inner Focus, so it can't even be intimidated to nerf its damage at all. So yeah, this Pokemon is really fun, and I have actually used it in a VGC draft before, so definitely looking forward to using this Mon for sure. There's really not a whole lot else that I have to say about it. It looks like a fantastic Mon. Fighting types are great in the Unova region, so let's go ahead and get into it. You see the rules on screen. There's more niche stuff down in the description, and while you're down there, if you could click that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. My goal is to try to hit 500 subs by the end of the year, and I know it's really lame to ask this early, but I have plenty of Pokemon Black and White solo challenges coming for you every week. So let's go ahead, get into it, and see how the Mienshao-line does in Pokemon Black and White. As we get into the run, let's go ahead and break down what we're working with today. So Mienfoo is a fantastic Pokemon for a first stage, and it's definitely going to need to be because, as you can see, we have to stick with this thing until level 50 to finally evolve, but I honestly don't think that that's going to even be that bad. 85 attack is really solid for a first stage Pokemon. 65 base speed is a little bit slow for the end parts of the game, but usually plenty enough for, you know, the early to mid, so that's not bad. Even has okay defenses with 50 in both and 45 HP, so it can take at least one hit usually, which is nice, and it can potentially use its special attack because 55 we've seen much worse before. It is a pure fighting type, and fighting types have been absolutely fantastic in the Unova region. They just don't really struggle too much, and all of them pretty much, they have tools to get around those small points where they could potentially struggle. So that is fantastic for this Pokemon. We have a pretty useful ability as well in Inner Focus. In this generation, unit only prevents flinching. It didn't get the added effect of ignoring Intimidate until much later on, I believe Generation 8, but still being able to avoid flinching is really useful. There are a couple Leopards throughout that really like to waste our time with fake outs and stuff, so not half bad. However, the level up move pool does leave a little bit to be desired at the very start, because we only get to start with Pound and Meditate, so we don't actually get a fighting type stab until way later, until we get Force Palm at level 29. So, however, Meditate gives us a setup move from the very beginning, and I believe this is the first Pokemon that we have ever run so far that actually has that, which is really cool. So, eventually, though, we will pick up some great moves along the way. Like I said, Force Palm, Drain Punch, Jump Kick, High Jump Kick if we want to go even crazier on the offense. But overall, this is a fine level up moveset, and sure, we might struggle a little bit early on just by not doing enough damage with Unstab Pound, but once we evolve up into Mienshao, we are going to be an absolute monster. 125 attack is just crazy strong, so that is on par with some of the strongest Pokemon that we have in the Unova region, and with 105 speed backing it up, we are not going to struggle pretty much at all in the late game, and I'm really looking forward to that. Even has a fairly respectable special attack, but spoiler alert, we're not really going to worry about that today. So, as for the TM side of things, we get some great coverage options like Dig, Poison Jab, Acrobatics, which is a really unique one. I don't think we've really even used Acrobatics that much in the past, so that's going to be fantastic. And then, of course, Return. So, Mienshao is looking absolutely fantastic. There really isn't a whole lot else to say about this Pokemon. It just kind of speaks for itself. It's got a great move pool, fantastic stats, and I don't think that we're going to have too many problems, and I really deserved it after some of the stinkers that we've been playing. So, anyway, let's get into the run. Our first rival battles are going to be completely free. Bianca, we just plow right through her, setting up a couple Meditates, and we didn't even do any optional trainers or any optional training at all. We can just go straight to Cheren and do the same thing. Set up a couple Meditates, and because we're that medium slow growth rate, which is just absolutely fantastic, we are leveling up very quickly here in the early game. So after plowing through all of the gym trainers, we can face off with our first gym leader. So we don't have a stab move, we're still relying on Pound, but having Meditate this early is just crazy good. We're just going to set up a couple, get to level 13, learn Fake Out. That's not going to be super useful, but nice to have. And there we go, easy win onto the Panpour with 2 more Pounds, and we got our first gym badge just about 6 minutes into the run. We are making fantastic time with this Pokemon. This dude is absolutely incredible, and yeah, just off to a running start right here. So after getting our cut HM, we're gonna actually stop by the Pokemon Center to heal up. We're running a little bit low on Pound PP, and then we can head into the Dream Yard, clear out a couple Plasma guys, and head out towards Route 3. Before heading out to face off with Cheren, we are going to take care of the preschoolers in here. They give pretty good experience, and we can even grab an Ultra Ball in the sandbox over here before healing up and then go facing off with him. Yeah, he's completely free, no problems whatsoever. We just set up a couple Meditates, chase the Plasma dudes into the Wellspring Cave, pick up a couple HM friends, and then we can head into Nacrene City. After grabbing the Ultra Ball in the patio, we're going to head into the Pinwheel Forest, where we finally get our first stab move in Rock Smash. This is not the best move in the world, but it is still a fantastic upgrade. We're just going to throw that over Detect. Not going to really be using that, and adjust our moves up here a little bit. The Nurse could actually be potentially very scary. We actually have to 4-shot her mana, which is not great, but it's okay. We are able to make it it through without too much hassle, and we can do a little bit more training inside the forest. I'm pretty much only going to battle Kita for his good experience, and the preschooler Juliet because she just has 2 unique Pokemon, and I have been cutting it kind of close sometimes with not having enough Pokemon seen whenever I get to Castelia City for the Eviolite. So I've been picking up her, and she, despite being a little annoying, is sometimes pretty good experience. So let's deposit our team, go take care of N. Once again, we just set up a couple of meditates, so he's completely free, and with our new stab, we can just power through all of the trainers in the normal type gym and face off with Lenora. Alright, so Lenora does start us off with an Intimidate, lowering our attack, but we have Meditate to bring that back up. She misses a takedown, and then I push it, so we live on 2 HP, so I'm able to get to +2 attack, which is going to be enough to one-shot the Herdier and the Watchog, giving us a first try victory against Lenora. That was absolutely fantastic. Very risky that I chose to set up once again, considering the damage range there, but it was so worth it, and getting that first try victory against Lenora was fantastic. So let's go ahead, chase the Plasma Dudes into the Pinwheel Forest after they steal Skull. We're going to do just very minimal training in here, like the Herdier Ranger right here, but you might notice that we added Retaliate to our moveset. So this move is strong. It's 70 base power, which is pretty good for this point in the game. However, it only has 5 PP for some reason. I have never understood why this move has such low PP, but it is going to be our best option against the things that do resist the our fighting type stab. So like the bridge trainers over here, they have a bunch of Woobats and a Munna, so we can clear those out easily, cross that beautiful Skyra Bridge, and head into Castelia City. As soon as we enter into the big city, we're going to make our usual pit stop at the first skyscraper here on the street and get a nice little massage. We don't actually need the rest TM today, so we get to save a little time doing that. And then we can head up to the North Street, tell the guy that we've seen enough Pokemon, and grab the Eviolite. This is, of course, a fantastic held item for all non-fully evolved Pokemon. Gives us a 50% boost to our defense and special defense as long as we stay unevolved. And yeah, we're going to be a Mienfoo for quite a while, so this is going to be the go-to held item throughout most of this playthrough. So we start the little plasma chase sequence, and then I'm going to stop by the Battle Company. So Berg is going to be a little bit of a hassle for us. The best move that we have right now to hit him is Retaliate, so I'm going to do not only the first floor, but also the second floor of training. I just want a good little chunk of experience, and this also sets up really nicely for some important stuff later on as well. So after that, we're going to clear out the Plasma Dudes on the side street and head into the gym. They're a little bit tedious because, you know, we don't really want to be spending our ether on the Retaliate, so we're just going to pound down a couple of his bugs and then face off with Berg. Berg can definitely throw a wrench into things. His Whirlwind loves to go for Poison Tail that can poison us and can potentially even stack up more damage with Screech, but looks like we're dodging all that bad luck today. You can go for a Retaliate. Unfortunately, Levani does protect on our last Retaliate, so we have to two-shot him. We get brought into the red, but then one more Rock Smash is easily going to be able to finish off that Dwebble when we're that boosted. And there we go, another first try victory for Mienfoo. Let's go. So for fighting types that don't get rock type coverage, Berg can definitely be a little bit of a hiccup, but looks like Mienfoo has no problems today, even though that could have been very sketchy. So let's head out towards Route 4. Bianca, of course, is going to be completely free, so we'll just heal up at the house, do a little bit of fisherman training where we will learn Force Palm, which is really nice. So that's great. And with that, we can just plow right through Cheren and head into Nimbasa City. After chasing off the plasma guys, we get a bite from some old guy and have a quick chat with Bianca before we're set free into Nimbasa, where I'm actually going to make a quick pit stop over to Anvil Town to get the rare candy over here early. So this is going to be the best rare candy in my opinion to grab if we're using any in the mid game here, and we will be using them pretty soon. So after returning to Nimbasa, of course, we're going to grab the TM for return before we head out to have our little lovely Ferris wheel ride date with N. Unfortunately though, I kind of forgot to teach return, so I don't have enough power. I could have set up more meditates, but I was a little worried about mud slap accuracy drops from the Sandile, and thought maybe what I had was enough. So unfortunately, I do take a blackout, but next time around, I just teach return, and that is just a super easy win. So yeah, unfortunate mistake right there, but hey, you know what? These runs can always be improved, and later on, that's a nice little point to improve on. So as we make our way through the gym, we will be learning Drain Punch, which is going to be a fantastic upgrade and also gives us some really good healing on top of that as we're attacking. And then as we make it through, we get to level 33, where we are going to be spending our 2 rare candies right in front of Elisa and then face off with her. At level 35, we can actually outspeed her Emolga, so we can go for a Meditate as it just Aerial Aces, and with those 2 Meditates, we can easily just go for returns. We do have to worry about static, but thankfully we dodge it this time. One more Drain Punch. Unfortunately, though, Zebstrika gets a paralysis with her Spark, and then we actually take a reset right there because, yeah, just unlucky. Second time around, though, we're going to do just the same thing. This time, Emolga goes for Volt Switch, so we actually even take less damage. Return, no static that time, no static once again. Moment of truth, Drain Punch, we don't get paralyzed, and we easily knock out that Zebstrika. Very nice, easy win. So a little bit unlucky on the first try, but hey, it happens, and that could have gone way worse with static luck and all that fun stuff working against me. So let's head out of here, meet up with Cheren on Route 5. He is, of course, going to be completely free, so no problems there. We can beat up a couple toddlers and head into Driftvale City. Very normal Driftvale today. We're going to stop by the cold storage, grab the PP up, which I am going to be using on Drain Punch. This is going to be our go-to, and then picking up the Ether and the Protein over in the grass. As we make our way through the little plasma dudes, we will be learning Jump Kick. This is a fantastically powerful option. However, if we do ever miss it, we take 50% of our total health in recoil, which is, yeah, that's very scary, but I think it's very worth to have that little extra power boost, and it's 95% accurate. All you gotta do is believe. So after that, let's go ahead and grab the Expert Belt in the market, which, spoiler alert, I never actually use, so I could have saved some time here, and then just knock our way through the gym and face off with Clay. Alright, were you really expecting Clay to be a problem? Not a chance. One Drain Punch for the Croc Rock. We get to level 38. Sure, why not? I do have to go for a Jump Kick to get the one-shot on the Palpitoad, but that easily drops. And then another Drain Punch on the Excadrill, which we actually outspeed for an incredibly easy 5th gym badge. Let's go ahead, pick up some Max Repels and Hyper Potions, and on the way out of the town, just absolutely dominate Bianca, no problems, and we can head into Charstone Cave. I know we're kind of just like sprinting through everything, but honestly, this Pokemon just does not struggle at all. The Charstone Gauntlet's going to be completely free, and at the end, no problems whatsoever. Of course, we have fighting type moves for his steel types that give some Pokemon problems, and then we can head into Mistralton City. As we make our way up the tower, we do no optional training whatsoever this time around. Of course, they have psychic types, and I just want to avoid those as much as I can anyway, but we will knock out the Fat Fish Nurse for a nice free heal and meet up with Skyla at the top. At the top of the tower, we can ring that bell to send Skyla back to the gym, and it also lets me say, hey, thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching this video. If you haven't already, maybe consider subscribing. I would really appreciate that. I do these solo challenges in Pokemon Black and White at least once a week, so plenty for you to watch, and we aren't going to be stopping anytime soon because, you know, we still have quite a few Pokemon to do in this series. So as we make our way through this flying type gym, we can get a little bit sketchy right here, but thankfully we have no problems. We outspeed all of the Pokemon and we can one-shot most of them, like these Tranquils, which is great, and then we can face off with Skyla. For once, Skyla seems to actually want to go on the offensive, but we're just going to set up Meditate as she goes for a Heart Stamp into the Acrobatics, and that's not going to be enough to knock us out, and we are plenty boosted. One Drain Punch for the Unfezant, that's going to drop, and then one more return for the Swanna is going to get us a nice, easy win. Actually, that is pretty surprising. Usually, that Swoobat just loves setting up Amnesia and stuff and doing nothing, but I guess she woke up with violence on her mind this morning, but it just wasn't enough. So let's go ahead, head out towards Twist Mountain. Cheren, of course, is going to be completely free, no problems. And then nothing interesting in Twist Mountain either. The only optional thing we do is battle the Excadrill guy for our last PP up that we need, and we can pop out on the other side at Icarus City. Of course, the gym in Bryson is a bygone conclusion at this point, but kind of interesting is we don't actually have to stop by the Pokemon Center to grab the TM for Brick Break, because Drain Punch is just kind of like better Brick Break, so I'm just going to kind of roll with that. So, very interesting. A lot of fighting types do have to make that minor detour, but Mienfu just does not care. So, let's go ahead, face off with Bryson. I have no idea if I'm going to meme on Bryson in this video or not yet, but yeah, we set up a Meditate and then just knock everything out with some Drain Punches. Yeah, did you really expect anything? He is an absolute joke. So, Cryogonal does outspeed us, but doesn't even matter, and there we go. Our gym badge down. Let's head into the Dragon Spiral Tower. And it's going to be time for story time. However, unfortunately, this one's going to be a bit somber because I really want to shout out my friend Chris. He unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago. He's about mid-40s or so, so it was a little bit unexpected. But yeah, I'm really feel for his family, and Chris just in general was a fantastic dude. So I knew him mostly from Pokemon TCG side of things. He was a great player to play against. We kind of built a little bit of a team whenever I was taking the game really seriously and stuff like that. He was a fantastic teammate and just overall great guy. I'm not gonna lie, he more than once pissed me off, and I've lost to him in tournament plenty of times, but yeah, he was more of a control player and I was more of like a balanced player, which just doesn't do super well into control sometimes. So he's definitely beat me more than once, and yeah, that was yeah, definitely we butt heads, but at the end of the day, he was just a fantastic guy. He got me into judging as well. He helped me out a lot with that, and just overall like was just an amazing dude, and he will be sorely missed in our community as we move forward. So yeah, of course, as you can imagine, a somewhat unexpected death like this does leave a pretty big toll on the family and stuff, so there is a GoFundMe set up. Of course, you don't know him or his family or anything, but if you have a few extra bucks and you really feel like you want to help out, you can follow that link in the description if it's still up and stuff like that by the time that you see this. So anyway, that is pretty much about it. You know, just take care of yourselves, love on your family and friends and whatever you hold dear, because you never know when it's going to be the end of it. So definitely, as I'm getting a little older, if you guys didn't know, I'm about 35, so you know, I'm gonna start thinking about, you know, taking care of myself a little bit more so I can stick around as long as possible. So anyway, yeah, sorry this was a little bit of a somber one. I know that's not really what you click on this video for, but I just had to shout out and tribute my boy Chris. So anyway, let's go ahead, see N's fancy new dragon, and head towards the desert. After returning to Mombasa, I'm going to stop over here and grab the HM for strength before heading out to Route 16 to pick up the rare candy. I've been cutting this one out because I have to worry about a lot of spinners and stuff, but we will be needing a couple extra rare candies as we make our way through the end parts of this game. So after that, we can head into the desert and pick up the fossil from the girl here for some potential fling strats later. And then on one of the earliest grunts, we will hit level 50 and evolve up into Mienshao. So we finally have our final form. So after that, we pick up one more rare candy, head towards Nakreen City, get a funny looking rock, and heal up at the nurse before grabbing the one in Pinwheel and flying back towards Route 8 to face off with Bianca. You may have noticed we've adjusted our moveset to include acrobatics and no items. So with no item, acrobatics is actually going to be stronger than return. And honestly, we don't really need an item. We don't get a black belt. We don't get too much out of expert belt. So like I said before, we didn't use it, and we could just absolutely dominates Bianca right here with acrobatics on her Misharna. So yeah, that's just so fun that this Pokemon can actually make really good use of acrobatics and not even need an item. So that's pretty cool. So after meeting up with Getsus and the ninjas, we're going to head into Route 9, get pitched to that Fling HM, and then we can head into Opelucid City. Of course, no problem as we make our way through the gym. We do jump kick the Druddigans just so we can knock them out nice and quick, and then we get face off with our final gym leader. Alright, let's do this. Iris, she leads off with the Fracture. We're going to go for one Meditate, and we have just enough Drain Punches to just plow right through. Druddigan, hers does not have Rough Skin, so we can just save a little bit of time there, and of course one more onto the Haxorus is going to get us to level 54, get us our 8th gym badge, then we can head out towards Route 10, do a little bit of training before facing off with Cheren. Alright, Cheren, you got one last chance. He's going to go for the Unpheasant, can do a lot of damage, but it just wastes its time going for a taunt, and all we need is that +1. Drain Punch onto that, and the Samurai, it's going to easily drop. Liepard, yeah, no chance you're living that. And then last but not least is going to be the Simisear, and that's going to go down as well. So super easy, no problems at all in this run with any of the rivals. Get a nice free heal, and we can head towards Victory Road. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of training right here, even picking up Veteran Warren at the very end. This guy is pretty scary, even though he only has 2 Pokemon, but they're 2 very strong Pokemon. And yeah, that's definitely worth it though, because we get to level 58 just in time for the league. Alright, Grimsley's up first, and what do you think we're gonna do? We're gonna click Drain Punch. We don't even need the Expert Belt boost to easily one-shot everything, and even we get to dodge that fake out flinch thanks to Inner Focus. Only a handful of times it came up in this run, sure, but hey, saving time is saving time, and there we go. Easy Grimsley, moving on. And what do you know, Marshall is going to be very much the same, this time with no item acrobatics. And that is easily going to knock out the throw as well as the Conkeldurr. Mirror match time, and yeah, no chance. Goodbye. And last but not least is going to be Sock. Of course, it lives with Sturdy. Pretty much all of our moves are going to bring it down to Sturdy anyway, so we have no real hope of winning this very quickly, but there we go. We get to level 60 exactly as I planned, and then we're going to head into Chantal's chamber, where we're going to spend all of those rare candies that we picked up to get to level 65, teach Fling, and give us ourselves a cover fossil for a really powerful dark type move, and then it's going to be time to take on these last 2 members. Alright, with Fling, Cover Fossil, Cofagrigus, that is a 100 base powered dark type move, and that's going to easily knock it out. However, this also pairs very well with Acrobatics, because now we don't have an item. We can easily set up on the Chandelure, dodge Flame Body, and then Acrobatics our way through the rest of her team, which is just fantastic. Lovely, easy win, and we can move on to our last member. Much the same with Caitlyn, we can fling her lead to knock that out in one shot, and then Musharna comes in that it does significantly less damage than Reuniclus, so we can set up that Meditate and then just go to town with Acrobatics on everything else that's not as bulky in the back. You'll love to see it. Yeah, I always love using Fling strats. It's one of my favorites. So let's go ahead, head downstairs, and see how Alder's managing with N. N summons his gigantic castle out of the ground somehow, and it's going to be up to us to chase him down through it because Alder couldn't hack it. Come on, man. We are picking up all your slack, but it's okay. Mienshao can handle it. No time for anything else. Let's just meet up with the man in the throne room. By having a full party, we could deny adding Zekrom to it so we can lead Mienshao v Reshiram. So originally I played Pokemon White because Reshiram had a lower defense and there was a chance for me to kill with high jump kick. However, just didn't really pan out. Meditate into one-shot everything with Drain Punch. You just wins anyway. So yeah, N's team is incredibly weak to fighting. Caracass, of course, is going to be the only thing that lives because of Sturdy. Probably could have gone for Acrobatics into Drain Punch just so I could break that Sturdy and save myself a turn, but doesn't really matter. Easy win. Getsis is going to come in, throw his little tantrum, and it's going to be up to us to take him down. Once again, we got another Cofagrigus lead, but that is not going to be enough to stop the Fling Cover Fossil, baby. And there we go. That easily goes down. We can easily live that hit from Bouffalant, set up a Meditate, and then Drain Punch all of that health back, and we just plow right through his team. Yeah, Mienshao is an absolute monster. This thing, it just does not struggle. Just goes to show you how powerful fighting types are into this late game, where a lot of Pokemon just really do struggle. But Mienshao, zero issues whatsoever. This is just awesome. So we do end our timer at the end of N's final dialogue right here. But yeah, this Pokemon was just fantastic. Even as a Mienfoo, it barely struggled. It barely had any hiccups. Like, Berg was probably the only real actual problem point, potentially Elisa as well, but we mostly just got unlucky there, and I made one mistake at the end fight. So maybe clean up the Elisa split a little bit, and you know, we can potentially even go up a tier spot, but that's going to be for another day. So let's go ahead, wrap up these credits, and rank this guy. And there we go, we got a final in-game time of 4 hours and 26 minutes and a final real time of 1 hour, 22 minutes and 24 seconds with one of each blackouts and resets. Yeah, incredibly dominant performance from Mienshao, and as we bring in the tier list, we see it sits very comfortably right at the top of B tier. I do think that this can be even improved on, maybe get a little bit more lucky and cut out that mistake that I had in the Elisa splits, but we could definitely see an A tier on our hands, but that's definitely going to be another day. This just kind of goes to show you just the absolute dominance of the fighting type, and you know, even something like Mienfoo that just evolves incredibly late, it doesn't even really matter that much as long as you got a good move pool, good stats, and you can just kind of power through everything anyway. So that's really nice. So yeah, late evolving is not necessarily a bad thing, and we are definitely going to be putting that to the test even next week because we are going to be playing with Bisharp. I've always really liked these two Pokemon. I really wanted to pair them with each other because they have a lot of similarities, and in my mind I kind of think of them as a duo, which I think is pretty cool. Of course, it's a very lopsided duo, but it's okay. So anyway, that is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching this video. Be sure to come back next week as we play with Bisharp. And with that said, like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. I love you all. Deuces.